As you all know, there are some ships that are very difficult to tackle. There are some very dangerous ships to tackle, and this is one of them. This is the Apocalypse 2 Command, the Tier 10 Command battlecruiser, and I personally got interested in this ship back when I had to tackle one with the Stratios. These things are known to be very tanky, and these things are also known to have some serious DPS. So back when I tackled one of these ships, I had to warp away because I was in hull, and my capacitor was also pretty low. So let's take a look at the trait description. The roll bonus will give you plus 25 kilometers drone command range, and it can fit command burst modules. Advanced armored command burst per level will give you plus 6% armored command burst strength, plus 4% skirmish command burst strength, plus 10% command burst effective range, which is so far really good. And the advanced battlecruiser command bonus will give you plus 4% armor resistance, plus 50% drone damage, and plus 5% drone flight velocity. So overall, the stats on this ship are really good. The Prophecy is one of the tankiest battlecruisers in the game, and I'll see what I can do with the skirmish and command burst bonuses. The ship has 4 drones, 3 high slots, 4 medium slots, 5 low slots, 3 combat and 3 engineering rigs, a very decent cargo hold capacity, 36,000 overall defense. Now this ship is a armor tank, don't shield tank any Prophecy. I have seen so many armor tank Prophecies, and I just don't know why, but there are some shield tank Prophecies out there that are very cursed, so don't shield tank your Prophecy. Decent capacitors, decent recharge time, 13.04 gigajoule per second is the maximum recharge rate. The ship can lock 7 targets. 209.1 meter is the signature radius, 330 meter is the scan resolution, 19.8 is the sensor strength, flight velocity 252 meter per second, which is not that bad, warp speed 3.7 AU per second, which is surprisingly fast for this ship, and I'm very surprised that this is not a very slow battlecruiser. It's actually quite speedy. Okay, now it will be time that I show you the build on this ship. So, this is the tank build for the Prophecy, 869.13 DPS. Now I have torpedo launchers in the high slots, although you can use the rapid missiles or normal medium missiles. Both work really well. This is the armored command burst, which gives some pretty good stats. Now, not all the stats will work on your ship, but you will get extra resistance, you will get extra armor, but you will not get extra repair and less capacitor use, which is okay. Overall, if you plan to use this module solo, you get some pretty good stats. Now I have 4 Valkyries, Republic Fleet Valkyries. They go 8.4 kilometers per second, range is 60 kilometers, which is so far really nice. Overall, very nice speed on this ship. I have 1 afterburner, 1 capacitor battery, large armor repair, and dual adaptive armor hardeners, which is a very normal build that I like to do with my ships. Now as for the rigs, this is where I did the same good old thing I like to do with my ships. I gave the Prophecy some rig integrations. These are the 4P combat rig integrations focused on resistance and armor repair. 2 of these rigs are focused mainly on resistance, while the rig in the middle is focused on armor repair and armor repair speed. I think this is a very nice balance, and overall should be really nice in actual use. And so far, I think that the 4P rig integration is actually really nice. Activation time 9.07 seconds, and it repairs 2735 armor, which is pretty good for a large armor repair. As for the engineering rigs, I focused on the maximum possible capacity performance. One is a rig integration, while the other two rigs are normal. Now the DPS might seem a bit low, but the resistances are actually looking really good. These are the cold stats, which look a lot better than the stats on the Stratios at the moment. And here you can take a look at the rest of the ship characteristics. Capacity lasts 2 minutes and 26 seconds with a build like this. I have removed the web for another skirmish command module. Now the skirmish command will give you some pretty good stats. You get extra web range and extra scrambler range, as well as extra disruptor range. You get extra warp and extra afterburner speed, which will be interesting to see how it will affect this ship. Okay, now let me adjust the modules. A little bit weird to have this setup, but we will see how it will look. 118,000 hit points when the dual adaptive armor hardeners are active. 79, 84, 84 and 83% resistance, which is ridiculously tanky. Okay, let's take a look at the afterburner speed. 952.91 meter per second, which is actually quite fast for this ship. 14.8 and 13.6 kilometer is the range on the web and on the scrambler. Time to turn on the armored command burst. Now they will give you weapon timer, so don't forget about that. 143,000 hit points, very nice. We are approaching battleship level hit points here. 82, 86, 86 and 85% resistance. And I also got extra armor volume as well. As you can see, the armor repair stats are not affected by the armored command, at least on your own ship, but it will affect the ships in fleet. And now the skirmish command will give extra speed. Okay, now it goes 1005.02 meter per second, which is actually very nice speed. And now the scrambler has 15.6 kilometer range, and the web has 16.32 kilometer range. And that is actually very nice and very useful in PvP. The armor repair is also unaffected by the skirmish command module. I really like to use both of the modules on this ship. I can see some amazing PvP applications with this ship. 3.7 AU per second is the warp speed. I guess the skirmish command module will not affect the warp speed of this ship. It's still 3.7, capacitor 2 minutes and 52 seconds. I guess the effect is still there because the afterburner shows 1005.07 meter per second. Now it should return normal. 952.91 meter per second is the afterburner speed. Very nice. So overall a decent boost, and overall a very decent boost for the web and scrambler. This thing can be a very terrifying PvP ship, and I think I might actually start flying one very soon. Now, with the current build, you can actually go and do something like this with 3 drone damage amplifiers, because the base resistances on this ship will already be ridiculously high. And now I have 1137.60 DPS cold with the prophecy. Okay, well, let's take a look at the active DPS on the prophecy. Skirmish command module is up, and the armored command module is also up. 90,000 hit points on a DPS build with 66, 73, 73 and 72% resistances. You know, this is actually a lot better than the Stratios in terms of cold resistances, and much better in terms of DPS. A very interesting ship indeed. Now I have some implants for this that I will show you how they work. I have the implant for speed and the Bombard mode implant. Basically you have to activate it while the drones are inside of your ship, and then you can launch them and send the drones to the target. But I guess the 300% DPS increase for a couple seconds is not visible on the fitting window for some reason. And here you can take a look at the active DPS. Overall, it's really good for a tank build. 1,600 active DPS with the Prophecy to command with 90,000 hit points. This is a tank build, by the way, don't forget that. This is a tank build and it still has 90,000 hit points with almost reaching 2,000 DPS. Yeah, this is a little bit I feel like this is a little bit broken, but yeah, I guess it is what it is. Now, let me show you how the implants for this ship work. So, the Prophecy is a drone boat, so you want to go for the drone implants, automatic defense, and the Bombard implant. Now, I personally like this one. Basically, it will give you a jammer on the drones, which can make your target unlock you, and that is very important for PvP. When the implants get nerfed and reworked, I will most likely buy this implant first for the Stratios and for the RB cover tops, because having the jammer and having extra points from the drones can also be very helpful. Here you can take a look at the general units. I went with DPS. Secondary skill is for tracking disruption, which is also very important for PvP. Can make your target's weapons basically useless. Now for the next general units I focused on drone speed and overall range and accuracy. For the next secondaries I went for the remote drone charge, and for the last two general units I went with armor repair, which made the armor repairs repair a lot better. And in the end you have the scrambling skill. Every drone will give you +1 points of warp disruption, which is really important for PvP, and overall the Stratios can definitely benefit from this. For drones that's extra 4 points, which is very nice. So this is the implant that I will go for when I go and get the implants. Now the next is the Bombard Tactics implant. Now this is the implant that I would personally use for missions, because you get extra drone DPS. Basically the drones will load some bombs and you will send the drones to a target and they will do some ridiculous damage until the charge is depleted. As for the general units, I also went with the damage bonus for the first two. Then I went with the micro thruster, that this increases the speed by 50%. Very important when you have a interceptor or frigate tackling you. The next units are for armor repair and of course for drone speed. The next secondaries are for, I think I went with the extra ammo. Now it can have six bombs on the drones. Then I went for the afterburner and extra drone speed range and stuff like that. And of course evasive maneuvers in the end will give you 100% speed on the drones and fighters, which will make drones go at the speed of light, which is also very important for the missions in low sec, especially if you have a lot of frigates tackling you. So that would be for the implants on the drone boats that I would personally use for most ships and most drone boats. In my case, the The defense one will be a lot more important than the other one. Now you can also swap the 1 drone damage amplifier with a adaptive armor hardener, and you still have some pretty good DPS. And of course I swapped to the normal medium missiles. Okay, let's take a look at the active stats of this ship. Let's turn on
Warp
the
drive active.
adaptive armor hardener. 96,000 effective hit points, 72, 78, 78 and 77, which is still ridiculously tanky. Now, you don't necessarily have to use this exact build. I personally like to have a capacitor battery on my active tank ships, so you can technically replace the large armor repair with dual medium armor repairs, or you can actually replace some other modules and build the rigs for extra power grid to be able to slap another medium capacitor battery, or perhaps you can even use a large Nosferatu. But in my case, I personally did not see a big problem with the capacitor on this ship. This thing can speed tank, surprisingly. A prophecy that can speed tank. I am surprised. I am very surprised. And the DPS is still looking really good. So if you plan to fly this ship, I still recommend that you equip the capacitor battery. You can use dual armor repairs if you like, but at the same time you can also change the engineering rigs for extra power grid. That way you will have power grid for a large armor repair, for a capacitor battery, and perhaps you will be able to fit a Nosferatu. Now let's see how this thing actually works. And I've also used the implants just to show you how that works. So basically you have to pull back the drones. Once the drones are inside of the drone bay, you click on the implant, the yellow bar will appear. The number 4 is the amounts of bombs that each drone can carry, and now you send the drones and they will do a lot more DPS, but at the same time you will notice that the charge will deplete itself slowly. Usually it does deplete itself pretty quickly, and they do some pretty nasty damage. Now, they are mostly good for alpha damage. Basically, you equip the drones with the bombs and you send them at your target. They can easily kill smaller ships, smaller player ships in couple seconds, because they're capable of dealing around 5.6 thousand alpha damage when they do hit the target, and it is enough to shoot down most tackling interceptors, frigates, cruisers, you know, things like that, including the Stratius. So that's one of the reasons why this ship is so dangerous. The Prophecy command, even with the DPS build, will still be tanky, and I think that this build that I'm currently using is a little bit busted. When I say busted, I mean broken. So I am still orbiting, barely any damage taken from these ships. Surprisingly, this ship can speed tank really efficiently. And I'll be honest, I personally don't feel any threat of running this ship in low sec. Now when you click on the drone implant while the drones are outside, then you practically wasted the implant, because it will not charge the drones with bombs. In order for the implant to work, the drones have to be inside of your ship, which is interesting, a very interesting little mechanic, I will admit. So if you plan to use this implant, then make sure that the drones are inside of the ship before you click on it. Now the second implant, the second, I guess, implant ability can be used while the drones are outside. I will click on that very soon, but you will be surprised by the speed of the drones. I wasn't joking when I said that they're moving at the speed of light. They're actually ridiculously fast, which makes me curious to actually test it out on a carrier. I think I can make carrier fighters go around 100 kilometers per second. I think I can. We will see. If I can do that, that's going to be so broken. It's not even funny. So, if you encounter a prophecy command running a mission in LowSec, yeah, be very careful around them. They are very dangerous ships, and I'm speaking from my personal experience. Back, I think last week, I did tackle a prophecy command. I did hold really well. I didn't really have the optimal build. I had a large armor pair with a micro updrive. Wish I had the afterburner and a Nosferatu, basically the classic Stratus build that I run, but I did not have time for that, so I practically jumped the prophecy with what I had. And man, the prophecy, yeah, they had a good chance at killing the Stratus. These things are very dangerous, and in a 1v1 I think the prophecy 2 command will win against a Stratus, because this ship has just a lot more tank and it has a lot more DPS. And it's actually faster than the Stratus. This thing is surprisingly quick. I like fast ships, so perhaps I will start using this thing for PvP. Might end up with something very silly. When I say silly, I managed to combine a tank, a good DPS ship, and good speed into one prophecy. The only thing that I might actually change is I might actually use a Nosferatu or capacitor batteries, because I just feel uncomfortable flying ships without them, especially active tank ships. Now this ship has a pretty good capacitor, but eventually it will run out, and for a endurance battle, having a good capacitor is very important. Okay, drones have restocked on their bomb supply, and now they're doing some disgusting damage on that battlecruiser. Very unfortunate that it doesn't show the DPS once the implant is active. I will show you some broken DPS on some other ships in one of the next videos, especially the Macarial and other Minmatar ships. The DPS that I did get on some of the ships is, if I would say overpowered, it would be a understatement. If I were to say busted, it would be a understatement. I don't have a word to describe how broken some of the DPS that I've seen actually is. The bombs are ready, but I'll first go and shoot down this battleship, or perhaps let's actually pull back the drones and activate the implant once the drones are inside of the ship. Okay, implant active, and let's launch the drones. Those are some very fast drones. Look at that DPS, that's just broken. And they are eating that battleship alive. That's some disgusting alpha damage. Imagine how much alpha damage can a carrier with fighters get. Yeah, that's very, very busted indeed. If I were to be honest, I would set the cooldown to 3 minutes. But I guess at the moment it's 60 seconds. This battleship is also slowly going down. And then to be the next wave. The Prophecy has already a pretty good bonus on drone speed. And I'm also very curious about the Myrmidon 2 command, which has a bonus on armor repairers. Now that ship is also quite scary, and I will fly one just to see what it can do. I think I can get some pretty broken armor repairers on that ship, as well as pretty scary DPS. Sometimes the drones don't return to the drone bay, so you have to practically stop your ship or approach the drone in order for the drone to return. And when that happens, now let me orbit at the next target. Drone bomb implant active, and let's focus fire. This ship is orbiting pretty quickly. Let's focus at the next frigate. With the implant, you should be killing interceptors within seconds. They will never be able to outrun the drones on this ship, especially with the implant. The drones should go at around 18 kilometers per second for 20 seconds, and that is more than enough to kill an interceptor. So if you want a ship that is safe to use in low sag missions, then the Prophecy command is the ship to go. Overall, I am really impressed by how well this ship runs. It honestly feels a little bit busted. 16 kilometers per second. Okay, that's some speed on the drones. Yeah, you ain't outrunning this with the interceptors for sure. So if you want to tackle one of these ships, a heavy tank tackle is recommended. Preferably something like the Stratius, or basically any other cruiser that can take a lot of damage before the rest of the fleet arrives. If you plan to attack this ship solo, it will be very difficult, because the Prophecy has good tank as well as pretty good DPS. So yeah, very interesting. Very interesting ship that feels a little bit overpowered. Or maybe that's just the build that I use. But I think if you don't like to use the 4P60 combat reintegrations, then I think you can also take the 3P combat reintegrations. They also should run really well, but if you want maximum possible tank, then this is the build to go. Because I will admit, I did not expect this to work this well. I expected something like the Stratius, maybe a little bit stronger than the Stratius, but instead I got this overpowered little battlecruiser, which makes me curious, can I actually make the Stratius have the same resistance? I think I can. We'll have to test that out as well. Currently my Stratius is not that expensive. Honestly, don't have the need to make the Stratios more expensive. It works flawlessly at the moment. The dual armor repairs are really good. I think the one thing that will prevent me from making the Stratios work the same way as the Prophecy to Command is the lack of a 5th low slot. The Stratios has 4 low slots, the ship has 5, and the ship doesn't have the need to use a clocking device, while the Stratios has to use one because it is a cover-top ship. So overall, if you like this ship, well, then I guess you can buy the Prophecy to Command. I'm definitely caught by surprise by how well this thing works. And since I like to fly in a fleet, I think the command burst modules will be very important to enhance the ships of my fleet. Should make for a very scary fleet combination. Alright, well, time to finish up with the mission. Let's pull back the drones. And this would be it for the Prophecy to Command. Overall, well, like I said many times before, very surprised by how this ship runs. The Prophecy to Command is indeed a very, very terrifying battlecruiser that is very difficult to engage. In PvP, it's actually pretty good, pretty fast for missions, and it has amazing use for fleets as well as amazing use for PvP in general. So, with that being said, hope that you enjoyed. Stay safe, fly safe, and I'll see you next time.